What do you do if you have a question about OSPC? In my case, I flew Jerry over to Hawaii to ask him. How you doing, everybody? Thanks for joining us. We're the DCSI Parts Guys. We're presented by Dealership CSI. We're powered by ESPM, and we're back in Hawaii. And today, I'm Rick. I got Jerry here with me. How you doing today, Jer?
Doing real good, Rick, and happy to be back over here because, as you're watching this video, it's a little bit cold in Wisconsin, so Hawaii is quite the change. Happy to be here.
Yeah, we left the weather back home, and we got a whole bunch of good sunshine and happy days over here. But we still got to work, Jer. So
yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's all right. Good place to wake up every morning, that's for sure. So, Jer, I was driving back from Syracuse, New York, down to Newark, New Jersey a couple weeks ago.
Sorry to hear that.
Well, it wasn't a bad drive. I did dodge a big snowstorm there, which was good news. However, I got a call from my good buddy Gerald up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And Gerald runs a real big Chrysler store up there. And he's been working on some pricing changes and things like that. And he said, I've got some chemicals that I want to put into a separate source, and I want to set up some separate pricing on them. And I said, well, this will be a piece of cake. And I've done this a couple times, and decided I'd just walk him through it on the phone. And we got to walking, and everything was working fine until he pulled up the RO and said, nope, didn't work. And I'm scratching my head thinking, wait a minute. All right, so we went back into it, made a few other changes. Okay, give it a try, Gerald. Nope, nothing, zero. So I said, all right, I know what to do. Got my phone out, hit speed dial for Mr. CDK, and said, Jer, what the heck is going on here? So then what, Jer?
Well, Rick, it's not something you run into very often, but in CDK's world, you have your price codes, and they give you an option to set up price codes differently for repair orders than what you would use on a parts invoice. Not too many people use that, so they've just got the price code set up, and it's the same price code that gets used on invoices and repair orders. So it's pretty simple, and that's what you've run into in the past. You can make some changes there, you can add a new price code, you can do all kinds of things, but if you found out, like you did in this case, that they have a completely different setup on repair orders.
Well, and that's kind of what I remembered in the back of my head, but I didn't remember enough details, and I've never run into it myself. So what we ended up doing after your guidance, pulled up OSPC, as you can see it here, and here's the clue right up on the top. You got price code tables for parts or repair orders, and you can pick parts or you can pick repair orders. If you pick parts, this is basically what you get. Your standard setups are going to prevail unless you give it a source exclusion. And typically, in my experience, Jer, these are the ones that I've always worked with, and I've never really had to go into the other area to make any changes. What do you see out there when you're doing some of this stuff?
It's pretty rare that anybody has a separate repair order price code set up, because generally I want to charge the same price on a parts ticket as I am on a repair order. I don't really want to be using different prices. So it's very rare that you would find a setup that is different on repair orders. But then again, what you're finding here, Rick, is probably something that was set up by somebody who worked there how many years ago? We don't know. How many parts managers ago? We just don't know. And everybody does things a little bit differently once in a while, and that's what you found.
Well, it's funny you mention that, Jer, because in that particular store, there's layer upon layer of changes, and you can see those footprints of people you're talking about. And it really makes it tough because you don't know what they did and how each one affects the other. All you're looking at is your result right now, and then how can I get this stuff changed? And a lot of times It's a lot of digging and a lot of scratching around. But luckily, Jer had the answer, and here's what we did. We went back into the OSPC, same way, but now we got down into the repair orders. And lo and behold, here's what we found under repair order price codes. Complete different setups here that were impacting the way we wanted to make this happen. And we were working on price code 2, and it was set for list plus 10. He wanted to set them for list, and couldn't get it until that magic moment, and Jerry said, here's the answer, and by God it worked. So moral of the story is, Jer, anytime we have a problem with OSPC, you call Mr. CDK.
That'll work. I'm usually available, so it worked. And it's a, like I said, it's a rare instance that you find that set up that way. But your F1 key can be your friend in CDK. When we first went into OSPC there, and you saw that parts and repair order, you can do the F1, and that what brings up the choice where I can now separate and show it just by parts or show it just by repair order. Or you can do both together. But when you're sending it to the printer, it should print them all off for you if you just leave it set up with the parts and the repair order there.
So, Jer, we also have variations like that with other systems. Reynolds has it, DealerTrack has it. So if anybody out there is having some pricing problems, one of the solutions that I usually find out there, and not a good one, we just change the prices when we bring them up every time. Well, that's prone to a lot of error. It's also prone to inconsistency, and it's a pain to have to do that. So we need to get pricing set up right, and so that the whole system works properly and there's no question about how it's going to price out. So if you do have questions on some of the other systems or CDK, what do they do, Jer?
Send us an email at the DCSIpartsguys.com, or I'm sorry, the DCSIpartsguys@gmail.com.
That's the place. So anyway, well, Jer, thanks for joining us in Hawaii here and dodging a little Pewaukee weather.
Absolutely. It's the perfect time of year to be here.
That's it. So till then, let's go make some money.